Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Dr. Tariq RYK. Today our topic is about the integumentary system or skin. Skin basically is the largest organ in the human body. It makes the outer protecting covering. It composed of the its appendages and layers. Its appendages are the hair, pores, sebaceous gland or oily glands are the sweat glands, and nails and hairs. Let's see the structure of the normal skin. Skin basically consists of the three layers. Outermost layer is the epidermis, and the middle layer is the dermis, two layer, and the third layer or the most inner layer is the fatty layer or the dense connective tissue or subcutaneous tissue in this layer. So see the sweat glands here, and here see the oil gland or the sebaceous gland. These are the nerves, blood vessels, hair follicles, and hairs, and also pores present from the sweat come out from the gland duct. See the histology and normal physiology and pathology of the skin. What is dermatology? Dermatology basically is the field of clinical medicine. In the field of clinical medicine, it deals with the function, structure of the skin under normal and pathological conditions, and also about the developing methods that we use for the diagnostic and the treating of the and preventing of the skin diseases. What is venereology? Venereology basically is the field of clinical medicine, deals with the STDs, with the sexual transmitted disease, and also for the development of the methods that are used for the diagnosis, treatment, and the prevention of the sexually transmitted diseases. Skin basically is the largest organ in the human body. It develops from the two germ layers. Its origin is from the two germ layers, from the ectoderm and from the paraxial mesoderm. From ectoderm, epidermis develops from the ectoderm, and the dermis and the hypodermis or subcutaneous tissue develops from the mesoderm, from the paraxial part of the mesoderm. Structure of the skin: dermis, epidermis, dermis, and the subcutaneous or hypodermis. Epidermis basically is the outer thinnest layer of the skin. Outer thinnest layer of the skin that we can see and touch is known as the epidermis. Epidermis consists basically 5 sublayers. It is more thick on the palms and the soles. It is most thin on the eyelids and glans penis and the foreskin. See the layers of the epidermis: outermost layer, middle, and other 3 layers. We study every layer separately. What is the first layer or deep layer or the middle or the most inner layer is known as the stratum basal or the basal layer or the germinative layer. It is the most deepest layer of the epidermis. It made up of the one row of the cylindrical cells that are perpendicular to the skin surface. It is also known as the stratum germinatum because it is germinating in origin, because it germinates or form new cells for the repair of the damaged cells. Other and second is stratum spinosum. It is also known as the prickly layer. It is made up of 3 to 6, maybe up to 15 rows of the polygonal cells, and the plasma of these cells are interpenetrate and protrusion associated with the desmosis. The plasma membrane of these cells are interpenetrated with each other. It composes the more tonofibrils in the cells, and it composes of the suprabasal in spiky layer, and OI process also present in this layer of the Langerhans cells. Weight process of the Langerhans cells present in the prickly layer. Third layer is the Stratum Spinosum. It composes of the 1 to 3 rows of the gelatinous cells. On palms, it is about 5 to 7 rows. These cells contain the keratinohyalin granules that function as the cross-linking to form the tight junctions. For the cell association, they make tight junctions, and these junctions are made by the keratohyalin granules. The fourth layer is the stratum lucidum, also known as the shiny layer. It is apparent layer. It is present in area between in the epidermis, most prominent in the palms and the soles. It is made of 3 to 4 rows of the weakly cells of the elongated shape. They contain the light reflecting substances. They mostly relate albumin, glycogen, and also drop of the fat present in these cells. Upper layer cells nucleus are absent. What is the fifth layer? Fifth layer is the stratum corneum. It is known as the horny layer. In this, the cells are present that have no nucleus. In this, their cytoplasm are filled with the protein known as the keratin protein. Membrane of horn cells is most thickened due to the presence of the keratin protein. Keratin occur in this cell layers from the basal epidermocytes and ends with the formation of the completely keratinized cells of the stratum corneum. Keratinization. Keratinization is the formation of the complex keratohyalin with the tonofibrils. It means it makes the extraction of the nucleus and fill the cytoplasm of these cells with the keratin protein. Mucous layer are the Malpighian layer, basal layer plus spinosum layer known as the mucous layer or Malpighian layer. 5 cell types in the epidermis. These are the keratinocytes, melanocytes, Langerhans cells, Merkel cell, and the lymphocytes. First, we start from the keratinocytes. These are the fixed cells. Their basement membrane is fixed by the finger-shaped process with the hemidesmosis association with the neighboring cells. Their mitotic activity depends on the state of the nervous and endocrine system. It decreases in 35 to 40 years of the age. And second is time of the day, decreases from the 5 to 10 a.m. and it increases in the evening time. And their mitosis depends on the 3 states. First, state of the nervous and endocrine system, time of the day, and state of the fear and depression. In state of the nervous and the endocrine system, it decreases in the 35 to 40 of the age, and during morning time it is low, and it increases in the evening time. State of the fear and depression, it decreases with the painful skin irritation. Second type of the melanocytes, they are also known as the pigment cells because they produce pigment known as the melanin pigment that gives skin color. it make it tan or brown colored. There are two main types of the melanin pigment. Melanin pigment, melanin pigment, it make black, and the brown melanin pigment, and the melanin pigment, it is yellow, and the third is known as the neuromelanin pigment. What is melanoma? Melanoma basically is the malignant transformation of the melanocytes. This is the cancerous form of the melanocytes. Third cell types are the Merkel cells. They are also known as the tactile cells, or they are sensory cells. These cells are the neuroectodermal region in the basal layer epidermis. They are most numerous in the fingertips of the nose, where the most sensitive parts they are more numerous. They are very sensitive cells. They feel the touch, pressure, and the sense of the cold and warm. Fourth cell types of the Langerhans cells are the macrophages of the skin. They contain the white process in the epidermocytes. They make up to 3% of the total epidermal cells. They are immunological in function. They act as a macrophage that engulfs the penetrating microbes that attack the skin, and they engulf them. They present these macrophages to the epidermis, and from dermis to the epidermis to the dermis, and then to the lymph nodes, and from the lymphocytes trigger the immunological reactions. What are lymphocytes? The 5 types of lymphocytes, they belong to the T types of the lymphocytes. They penetrate into the basal and the spiny layers of the epidermis to the dermis. They involve in the formation and construction of the immunological protective barrier of the skin that helps skin to fight against the pathogens or the microbes. The second layer of the skin is the dermis or derma. It is composed basically of the dense connective tissue that are rich in the fibers, and they are poor in the cells. There are two layers of the dermis, and it composed of the fibers, collagen fibers, elastic fibers, and the reticular fibers. Two layers are the reticular and the papillary layer. First start from the what are the fibers present in the dermis. Collagen fibers, they are non-branched collagen fibers, and these may be type 1, type 3, and type 4 in the dermis. Second are the elastic fibers. There are the composed of elastin and fibril proteins. They are thinner and they are also branched, but the collagen are non-branched, but these are branched. They are deformable because they can be stretchable up to 150 times by their original length. They can be stretched up to 150% times of their original length. Second and third are the reticular fibers. They are composed of the thin collagen fibrils that are in amorphous matrix. They are functionally active in the areas of the skin. Layers of the dermis. Papillary layer outer, and the inner layer is known as the reticular layer. Upper or outer layer is papillary layer. It consists of the thin collagen fibers. It supplies the nutrients to the selective layers of the epidermis, and it regulates the temperature. Basically, the papillary layer composed of the thin collagen fibers, and its function to provide nutrients, and it regulates the temperature. And second layer is the reticular layer. It is the lower layer or the deep layer. It composed of thick collagen, and these cells are arranged in the parallel surface of the skin. It make the shape or strength to the dermis and give elasticity to the dermis. It supports It support the hair follicles, sweat glands, and the sebaceous glands. Third layer, hypodermis or subcutaneous tissue. It consists of the loose network of the collagen, elastic, and the reticular fibers. It absent in the areas of the eyelids, under nail plates, foreskin, labia minora, and the scrotum. In these areas, the subcutaneous tissue or the hypodermis is absent. Function of the skin or the integumentary system. It is an immune origin because it contains the lymphocytes and the macrophages, Langerhans cells. They defend against the microbes or pathogens. It protective function because it protects from the external abrasion or pressure. It the secretory organ because it secretes the sebum and the sweat. It is sensory because it can feel the touch, pressure, and the sense the heat and cold. It is respiratory and the resorption function. It helps because it can absorb the water drop. It is thermoregulatory because it regulates the temperature. It is metabolic because it also helps in the metabolism. What are the pathological processes in the skin? There are acute inflammation of the skin. In these, the 5 signs: rubber, bright and the intense, tumor, swelling with the exudation, and the dollar, mere itching and burning and pain. Color will be the increase local skin temperature. Color mean about the temperature, and dollar about pain, tumor about the swelling appearance, and rubber about the bright and the intense. And functionalia mean impairment of the function, impaired function on the that area that are injured. And the chronic inflammatory or inflammation of the skin, the rubber, the less pronounced with the strident shades. And in the tumor, it may be mild edema and infiltration. Dollar, it may be mild and the absent. Color, mostly absent, and the functionalia also mild. It is not sweated in the, it is mild, it is not severe. What is parakeratosis? Parakeratosis basically is that keratinization mode in which the retention of the nuclei in the stratum corneum. In this, the cells of the stratum corneum, their nuclei are extracted and their cytoplasm filled with the keratin protein. What is hyperkeratosis? It is the thickening of the corneum layer. Spongiosis basically is the formation of the bubbles in the prickly layer due to accumulation of the edema fluid in the intercellular slits. In the vacuolar degeneration, it is the fluid accumulation in the basal and the prickly layer. What is ballooning degeneration? It is the focal changes in the prickly layer of the epidermis. Inflammation of the skin. Inflammation may be primary and the secondary. Primary inflammation they may be proliferative and may be exudate. Spot or macule. These are flat and non-palpable lesion of the skin. These are inflammation. There may be inflammatory macules and non-inflammatory macules. Inflammatory macules occur due to the expansion of the surface of the blood vessels of the dermis, due to rupture of the blood vessels of the dermis. They may be the roseola. They are size 25 mm in dia. and the erythema, they are more than the 25 millimeter in diameter. Another type are the non-inflammatory macule or spot. These are due to the improper development of the blood vessels in the skin. This may be the hemangiomas. This may be the hemangiomas telangiectasia due to the hemorrhage. We can see these primary lesion of the skin. These are nodules, cyst, bullae, macule, plaque, wheal, vesicle, and the stool. These are the types of the primary inflammation of the skin. Hyperpigmentation of the macules. These are types of the freckles and the chloasma and the nuvias. Depigmented macules, they may be the vitiligo, albinism. These are the artificial macules. What is the papule? Papule basically the infiltrative layer of the skin. These are elevations of the skin. They arise from the epidermis, hypodermis. Their classification, they may be miliary. Their size range from the 1 to 2 millimeter, and the lenticular, they are 1 centimeter, and the nummular are size from the 2 to 2.5 centimeter, and the last are the plaques. They range from the more than 2.5 centimeter. Their shape may be conical, hemispherical, polygonal, oval, round, and flat. Their color may be pink, red, purple, cyanotic, and yellowish. And third type of the nodule, primary inflammation. Nodule basically are the infiltrative layer of the skin. These are the elevated above the skin. They arise from the hypodermis. They are 1 centimeter in diameter. They form the scare when they resolve. Fourth type is the node or mass. They are infiltrative lesion in the deep layer of papillary layer of the dermis. They ulcerate with the formation of the scare, and they may be dissolved with the scare atrophy. And the fifth type is the urtica. These are also known as the wheal. These are the elevated lesion due to acute edema in the papillary dermis. They are proximal, and they are also disappear in the 2 to 3 hours. Other types of the exudative types of the primary lesions. Vesicles. Vesicle basically intraepidermal lesions. They are elevated above the skin, and they contain the serous or the serous hemorrhage fluids. They are up to 5 mm in diameter. They occur in the maybe in groups and or maybe in the single. Their resolution cause the erosion, crust formation. Only super epidermal or subepidermal vesicles resolve with living scarring. The seventh type is the bullae or bulla. They are circumscribed. They are circularly lesions. They are elevated lesion of the skin. They contain the serous or serous hemorrhagic fluids. They are red due to the acantholysis. They may be intraepidermal or the subepidermal. The last type is the pustule. Pustule basically the elevated. They contain pus. They mostly occur in the smooth part of the skin and also in the hair follicles. There are also two types. They may be superficial and deep. Superficial, they are impetigo and flatten. They resolve with the completely resolve without scare formation. And other deep, the ecthema and the rupia, their resolution cause the scare formation. Other are secondary skin lesions. These may be secondary macules. They form after the primary lesions such as nodules, vesicles, and pustules. As hypopigmented, they may be depigmented or hyperpigmented spot. Second are the scale or the schema. These are abnormal thickness of the skin surface, and there is the scaly formation of the skin with the white lamellae, and here will occur the accumulation of the lamella in the horny cell layers. It may be physiological and pathological. Desquamation. Desquamation basically is the detachment of the scales from the skin surface. Third is the crust. Crust are the solidified keratin and the exudate on the skin. They may be erosion and the ulcerous. And the fourth type is the Eruvian. Eruvian basically is the epidermal excoriation from epidermis down to the basal layer. They develops after the breakage of a blister or pustule from the skin without scare formation. When the pustule or blister resolve without scare formation, they cause erosion of the skin. We can see the secondary skin lesions, ulcer, fissure, scale, lignification, erosion, and the atrophy. Fifth type is the excoriation. These are the partial damage to the epidermis by the injury or by the rubbing of the skin. When there is the injury of the skin or rubbing of the skin, the excoriation will occur. These are partial damage, not complete damage of the skin. And the sixth are the crack. Crack basically is the fissure and thin linear cleavage. They may be deep and the superficial. Superficial disappear without scarring, and the deep form the scare when they heal. 7 is the ulcer. Ulcer is the complete deficiency of the tissue at the sides, which is deeper to the eruvian, and it reaches to the dermis and tell the hypodermis. It occurs after the blood circulation disorders such as varicose vein. It also heals by the scare formation. And the 8th is the scare. Scare basically is the reactive proliferation of the dermis and also collagen fibers after skin injury. When there is skin injury, the scare occurs. It is basically reactive proliferation. Their healing may leave a flat shape scare. It may be hypertrophic or thickened. The 9th is the lignification. Lignification basically is the thickening or hardening of the skin due to chronic disease such as chronic eczema and the lichen simple chronicus and the atopic dermatitis. They associate with the severe itching. They cause severe itching. And the last and the 10th type of the secondary lesion is the vegetation. Vegetation basically is the proliferation of the papillary layer of the dermis, and it causes thickness of the epidermis, horny cell layers, for example genital warts such as condyloma acuminata, and the vegetating granulation at the bottom of the ulcer. So our today topic is finished. If you have any confusion and any question, you may comment.